Yo, so I want to do a video on a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing on like social media trending about Black Americans or FBAs or ADOS or freedmen, or all these names that there's people that understand that they don't want to be seen under all these different names, monikers, and want to have these monikers that that they want to feel represent them instead of using African American. And I think it's just like a lot of people on Twitter going back and forth, and it's just causing a lot more confusion on top of confusion. And people using it, pretending that they're quote unquote building their own code, they're getting things corrected in the community and all this type of blah blah blah. But a lot of it is just people are just doing it's the same thing, let's follow any regular media thing. They're all just blabbing the same talking points as the originator of these movements. So you get like Tariq Nasheed, or you got Yvette Cornell, or you got who's the Freedman one? The only one I know for Freedman is this is Moorish dude, Lord Abba. I think that's how you say his name. But all that stuff, it's not really anything. It's just those guys go on there, they put out like they'll go on Twitter, like Tariq go on Twitter and you show like a black person, seeing some crazy shit. Maybe they have like a certain accent to them, so he'll say, "Oh, look at this person is, he's not us. He's from somewhere else, and he's talking about us, and this is why we can get into the code because a black person from might be from Jamaica, might be coming over here to plot against us and take something that we have. It's like, what? Why would you?" And he just keeps putting that out there. If you look at it, I see it on his Twitter because, I see Pan-African Strikes Back talking about this. He talks about how this dude just keeps going on and on and on about immigrants, black immigrants from somewhere else, coming to America, plotting to take what is black Americans. They're taking the jobs, they're taking, resources, they're taking black American spots, and it's like that doesn't even make sense. It's not enough. If you add up 50 years, first of all, I believe in the top 10. You look at the top 10 countries that immigrants come from. None of them are black, quote unquote, black countries. None of them are African or Caribbean countries. So that's just right there, because they're trying to make it seem like black immigrants are just they're just letting black immigrants in like crazy, like just like letting the boat, the plane, whatever, every plane, boat, submarine is filled with black immigrants. They're just trying to pack them all in there. They're not. They deport Haitians like crazy. Jamaicans, they deport them. They'll deport you if you're over here. If you're definitely a black immigrant, you're not, doing well on your stay here. They'll make sure, if you're out here bullshit and stuff like that. I feel like Jamaicans get caught up in gangs and stuff like that. They get them out of here when they get them. So they're not. There's no favoritism for black immigrants. And then also there's no way that there's not enough. That number. There's only like 4 million black immigrants, or black people that's not was not here before 1965. So that's not a crazy number when you put it against like 40 million black Americans that were here before 1965 as part of slavery and all that in America. That it's not enough, especially going down south. Where the majority of black Americans are. How can a small number of black immigrants take the majority of black American spots? It doesn't even make no damn sense. That doesn't even make sense. So. There's holes all in that, And then there's, they're saying like, oh, they're off code and they try to do things to set black Americans up. And it's like, if we both black, doesn't matter where you're from. Like if black immigrants make black Americans look bad, how would a white person know if they, let's say they're trying to discriminate against black people? You're a black immigrant helping to do that. How do you know when you go out there into the world and you're trying to set up a business or do something that they don't see you the same way? They might not be looking for your name or whatever. They might not be looking to see an accent. They might not give a damn. They look at you, boom, they're like, oh, get up out of here. So this is not something that's confirmed. You don't have white people like when they going out here like, oh, when I look at that black person, I look to see if they talk a certain way, or I look to see if they dress, a little exotic or something. That's not something that anybody really talks about. So that's not really something that you can put something. You can put a bunch of some rhetoric into that. You can't go and create a whole narrative when there's no real, data that supports that if you're a black person, you come in talking a certain way. There's no experiments run on that. There's no social discussions about that really. If you talk like you're from somewhere else, then now white people look at you, a little differently. So, you have a lot of his followers pushing that heavy, and it's just not there. So they keep pushing this, and you got to push back on it, because if you keep talking, the internet, you think people would use the internet to get information that we couldn't get before. Before you had to go into the library and hopefully look for a book or something that you didn't know about, or you had to get it. You had to get it by hopefully watching TV. Look for a channel on something that you're interested in, and you try to find something, something like that. But before the internet, it was hard to get information that you wanted. You had to go to lectures and stuff like that. You had to get VHS tapes. You had to get whatever, if you wanted to get something that you liked or you had an interest in. But now we got the internet. You just click. You go on your phone, turn it on. It's with your phone. You can look up information. And it's crazy that people don't do that anyway. People just go on the internet. A lot of people go on the internet to still go on and look for what they want to see. And a lot of people gravitating to a lot of people who, come out with a certain narrative. And it could be. It's not good, because when you keep putting out misinformation, you're leading a lot of people astray, creating a lot of issues, and a lot of going to create a lot of ailments, a lot of things that don't need to be there. Then you have that going on. You might have some black people that feel wrong. They might feel like they got to take it a certain way. They might put that on. Because I see it on the internet all the time. They're feeling that type of way. They feel like, somebody's to blame for why black American, today isn't, really moving forward, and it's kind of staying stagnant. And they're looking around and kind of putting the finger at different issues. Is it a black man? Is it black women? Is it older black people? Civil rights movement, segregation better, you have people that ask these kinds of questions, that can be kind of sketchy, because you have a lot of people skewing information, saying that segregation was a better time period, but you got to put into context, the world was much different back then, and you didn't have the inflation and stuff like that, you also didn't have the opportunities. A lot of the opportunities blew up, from the 50s onward. America started to become more global. America wasn't what it is. America wasn't always what it is now. Where everybody knows America, and America's name is in everything. Back in those days, information was a lot more limited. And so segregation, people putting out, segregation a whole another, complicated, talking point, because it's a whole bunch of different areas you got to talk about. People just think about just, the bus or the water fountains. It goes into a whole bunch of other issues, segregation. So it's not too simple to just be segregation was better. The only thing that you could say was better is that white people weren't really interested in they kind of left black people in their own areas, and black people can kind of just stay, and work on, our own shit. Like, you be on your own, and you just try to build with each other, and you're forced to be family, you know. And now the opposite is out here, that we're trying to continuously push to be, integrated into another society. Many times, many of us are like doing the most, you know, basically we're kind of becoming a caricature of ourselves, to try to maybe blend in, or stick out from each other. We're all like becoming divisive. That's really what's going on. Like, it's cool to kind of, for a lot of us to try to be different and stand out from each other. And so that's why we get into a lot of fights as black people. Everybody wants to be like this, the standouters. Everybody wants to be like, we always want to be flashy and stuff like that. We always want to, see better than the next man. We want to make it, known that we got it. We're doing it at the moment. We're like, all this and all that, and it creates a resentment that we have many times for each other, because we always want to be like, talking the most shit, doing the most this and that and that and this and that. And when it's like that, you can have a whole war, So you got a lot of that goes on all over black communities in America. Old versus young, tall versus short. You got, black woman versus black man, light skin versus dark skin, African versus African American. You got, all of it. You got it all, like the hood versus the bougie, the integrationists versus segregationists, those who want to be for the church, those who want to be loose and run around, the strip club or whatever, straight versus gay, all that. You got people that's just, how people just always like, and that's why I see on these black, talking, black YouTubers and stuff like that. Everybody wants to talk about, how do we unite? How do we unite? And you got to think about what that means to even unite. And do you all have to become under a certain religion, like the Nation of Islam is talking? Like, because that's how they were talking. They want all Black America to be under the Nation of Islam. That's what they wanted in their plan. And, if you obviously look out here and you live in a black area, that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to go under the A lot of people aren't disciplined like that to want to live that type of lifestyle. It's just not happening. And then you got a lot of people that's, just living in the streets, like they want to be out here, they want to get that fast money. And, that comes with, when you live that lifestyle, it's cool and all, when you're doing that. And then when, it comes to an end, you got to start beefing with, other niggas, and, you get, caught up with, maybe certain type chicks, certain dangerous chicks, certain shit can happen, or you get caught up with, you get caught up in lawyer shit and stuff like that. You might owe money, you might start struggling for money, but certain shit starts happening, or you might start getting into street beef. You gotta sort of make certain decisions. Like, that's a part of the black community. People don't realize when you're dealing with so many of us know so many people that's in that life. It comes with certain shit, and that shit affects the whole black community. When you have so many people that's wrapped up in the streets, and that's why we got all these street stereotypes that it's out here. When you got so many people that's being girls aspire to be strippers, and so they're in that stripper life, and then them, and then you got all these issues that come with being strippers, and then you got dudes that's out here, they're scamming, they got issues that come with scamming, like girls that deal with these dudes, they got that. So then they, if you're a person that's dealing with a stripper, or you dealt with a stripper, you got the issues with them, or you dealt with a scammer, or you dealt with a nigga that that's repping a set, and he's living that life, you gotta deal with that. Or you you're dealing with a nigga that sells, Xanax and weed and all this other shit. Like, you got to deal with whatever he comes with. You got to deal with whatever he comes with, and then that might make your perspective. You might have a biased perspective on that, and think that that's the black community, because of that. And that is the black community, but that's only, of course, a part of the black community. And for that, I don't know if we can really, at this point, truly, because I see a lot of channels will say you try to have this hopeful talk and all that, but I don't know if we got the power to really be, because everyone tries to talk tough about crime and all that. I don't think we got the power to even deal with criminals at this point, because it's just too normalized. You can't deal with that. What are we gonna do? Go out to Chicago and just start beating everybody up? If you out here repping these sets and stuff like that, you're gonna run up to cats and it's like how is that even gonna work? How would that even work? You can't really do anything about that at this point. It would have to take a lot of people in the community that just have to lock the whole community down. You have to go to every house and area and shit like that. But that would just be a whole other thing. It'd be crazy. So I just say that whole criminal aspect, unfortunately, that's a part of what we're seen as, and the part that we kind of stuck with. I might do a video on how we got to deal with it. There might be some things that we can do, but yeah, that's a part of the issue. You have that part, and you have also the religious part, and also the identity part. You got a lot of people that want to claim other identities, and then other people want to, use these identities to try to push certain history and stuff like that, try to push certain history, black people, or whether they're trying to do this comedic thing, or you got niggas out here even try to say they're Native American and shit like that. They get dealt with all the time. I see them on Pan-African Strikes Back. They get dealt with all the time. Where you got dudes that's out here saying, Hebrew Israelites and all this kind of stuff. A lot of that's just, you see a lot of niggas doing that I feel like a lot of dudes feel like a certain way about history. They don't want to just be seen as descending from a history of slavery and being, whipped around by white people and stuff like that, pushed around by white people, or just be seen as in an inferior way. So it really fucks with them. So they start clinging on to all these different religious ideas or cultural things. Looking back to Egypt, looking to a lot of Hebrew stuff is so powerful because a lot of people look at the Bible, it's a big source of the black community, church and all that. So people try to see themselves as the people of the Bible, especially because, slavery and all that. So you got that aspect, and then you got it's another one. Yeah, people even look to the Moors and all that, and they had something, the ones who fucking helped slavery kick off to this level. So that's a funny one. Funny how you got people that be like, oh, I'm Moorish, but I'm not African. That's how you know that they're not even serious about history. If you say some shit like that, you're not even serious at all. You see that, you just gotta you don't know what you're saying. You're not serious. But yeah, you got a lot of people doing this identity stuff. And then it's kind of it shows where we at when we have people eating this stuff up. People eat these things up. They're not really well-read people. They're not really critical thinkers. They're not really looking for information. Just looking, like I said earlier, to hear what they, someone to tell them something, to rock them to sleep. They want to hear somebody give them a certain narrative to comfort them. I say, nah, you gotta tear the Band-Aid off. We in a war, I think what every black person should do, every black person should get up, and everybody should travel to everybody else's community. everybody. It should be like a black pilgrimage. Everybody should travel to everybody else's community. So you're not sitting there saying crazy shit about someone else. Because black people in America will say that shit about other areas in America. Like niggas will talk crazy about Chicago, and know damn well, you got issues in where you at too. And everybody tries to say, oh, you're disrespecting my stuff, man. And black people disrespect each other here all the fucking time. Niggas will get crazy on Louisiana and New Orleans, because it gets rough out there. Niggas will talk crazy about DC, or niggas will talk crazy about Atlanta. Niggas talk crazy about LA and the gangs out there. Niggas talk crazy about over here in New York and say, New York is, falling off and all that. People talk crazy about everybody anywhere, and I feel like if you're not, you gotta stop being so tribal and so in your own world. You gotta get out and look at people from somewhere else. You gotta see where they're coming from. And then after that, you also gotta look at things at a business mindset, like how these cities set up, and that's what kind of helps me, when I travel, and see how different people interact and how these places are set up. 'Cause every place all places in the world is set up in different ways. You can see how their mindsets come from wherever history they came from. So if you have a warrior type minded people that don't take any shit, they have a really tough mentality. They came from a certain type of history. Where they come from a tough people that battled and that just been passed down to them. Or if you got people that's real savvy with money, and they just make a lot of money and they're sovereign, like some of these European countries like Switzerland and stuff like that. That's a certain type of history right there. They teach their kids certain values. And then that's what we got to look at. We got to look at certain values. It doesn't just have to be black people. We got to look at people's values. We got to look at people's values and see how their economy, everything's structured. And you got to look back, and then you got to come back to other black people who's like that. You got to come back and get with other people if you're serious about that stuff. You don't have to give a whole speech about it. You just got to be like, yo, y'all serious about creating a community, and serious about let's say you're a bunch of you're serious about getting a community of people to you want to create a black police force. Let's say you want to create a black police force. You want to have it all from top to bottom, black. You gotta have certain people come together that's most likely expertise and have the idea that you can't just be randomly doing it. You gotta have people that know what they're doing. You gotta have that all go down, and it's gotta be done right. You can't do it in a scamming type of way. You can't do that. You gotta do it for real. You gotta start being lazy and do this shit for real. It's gotta make sense. You can't be doing no hidden history museum nah. And that's how we gotta start being serious about shit. Stop. We always want to be entertained. That's also something that's gotta die out. We gotta stop being entertained. We gotta be for real adults and sit down and pave a path for the future. Stop being silly all the time. Also, we gotta. What else do we have to do? We gotta we gotta come see other perspectives. I'll say you gotta do that for the kids. Everybody gotta get, instead of just going to Disney World or stuff like that. You gotta take your kids and take them to people's different businesses and stuff like that. Get them, caught up on how these businesses work and stuff like that. Get them in the corporate world and see what goes on over there. How do people on the top think? If we could do stuff like that, take the black kids to these top, Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that, and show them around and get them an idea how the bosses think and stuff like that. That would be another big one up. You know, it's so many things that, you know, we can do. Like you can easily. There's no way. That's another thing that gets on me. There's no way that we don't have black corner stores. I don't know what's up with that. Everybody talks about everything else, every other type of business, but if you go to every hood, none of them are black corner stores. None of them. There are no black corner stores like that. If there are, there's like Jamaican ones. None of them. You see this Spanish or Arab or Asian, then niggas want to complain all day. They're taking money out of the community. Like they didn't sign a contract to do anything for you. They can do whatever they want. If you come into the store, you chose to come into the store. If they chose to spend their money their way they want to, that's how they're gonna do it. Just like that, point blank. If you don't like that, you start your own store. But that's crazy. Like every black community operates the same way. Like everyone's just complaining, open complaining, but nobody wants to do nothing. Everybody just wants to complain, and you know, nobody cares about that. Like no, to be honest, if I'm Asian or white or whatever, I don't want to hear that shit. Like nobody wants to hear you just openly complain like about the same problems. Because if you look back to the 80s and all that, niggas, 80s, 90s and all that, people was complaining about the same shit. Why the Asians, you know, all in the hood and stuff like that, nigga? Because it's easy money. Who else they gonna sell all this bullshit, you know, stuff in the convenience store? Who's gonna buy it all like that? Who's gonna buy all these weaves like that for 70, 80, 100, 200, 300, whatever, you know? Yeah. These chicks are. Who's gonna buy all this bullshit they got in them stores? Niggas are. You know, they follow the money. And if they wasn't there and they put in the white community, motherfuckers is just gonna have to get up and drive further to go to where that shit is at. That's gonna cause clash because niggas gonna get, you know, probably profiled because they're gonna be like, oh man, you know, you're not from this. Then you know niggas complain about that too. Like, oh man, they, you know, I have to go to another community to have stuff because they don't have, you know, they don't have the stuff I need in my community, so I have to go over to where white people or Asian people or Spanish people at to go get the stuff. And it's gonna be like, okay. Oh well, to me that don't matter. Like, if you're all this pro-black stuff and you're screaming all this, you know, all this talk, you gotta do that, you know, on your own. Like you gotta own that shit. You can't just be talking crazy just to be talking crazy. Like, you're just saying you're just talking all this, you know, rah like, yo, we're gonna like take everything back, you know, we're gonna take every penny back. We're gonna do all this stuff. They always did. You can't even fucking open up a corner store, bro. Like, we can't even open up a fucking corner store. All niggas got is like barber shops up in here. Barely. You got barber shops, a couple of trucks with like food trucks and weed trucks and shit like that. Like you're not even serious, bro. That's why nobody takes it seriously. It's just basically complaining at this point. I don't want to hear it either. Like, other people don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be that type of black person. Like, black people look at you crazy when they hear that you don't want to hear that. If you don't really go out here and get this shit popping, get the corners, you know, like that nigga with the street was get it popping. Like, if you don't get it popping, get the corner stores going, and if you can't even get a corner store going, how you gonna get out here and really compete? That should be like the first thing niggas do, you know, because you know you got all kinds of issues with health and stuff like that. We should be able to open up, you know, grocery stores, open up corner stores, you know, easy beginner shit. And then when you go from there, you start opening up other types of business. You can open up gyms. You know, we might have, you know, maybe some black areas. You know, we might not have the adequate gyms. So open up gyms. You might have to open up a gym for the youth, you know, so the younger kids who want to, you know, learn how to work out. The young dudes want to work out and compete at an early age, you know, teach them how to stay fit and how to, you know, you had to pay attention to certain muscle areas and stuff like that. Like different opportunities. You maybe you don't have money to take your kids wrestling, and you might not have the right sports and stuff like that. We could be doing stuff like that. But we're not even thinking like that. We don't like think outside the box as a community at all, and that's our big problem. We don't think outside the box. We don't. We just like open complaining about shit. We don't want to really actually put an effort into an answer. So we just open complain. Other people. So we look at an Asian person. They come over. They do something. Then we complain. How come we don't have that? And then that'll be it. Then we go to Asians to complain about their shit. Yo, how come we don't get this? Why don't you open your own shit up? And niggas don't want to do that. So deal with whatever you got. And then the next thing, niggas try to, worship the old days and all that type of stuff. That's the third thing that, the niggas like to do is, create that whole narrative and stuff like that, going back to segregation, create some type of, special black people that, were like Egyptian or fake black Native Americans or, so-called black Hebrew Israelites or Moorish or whatever, type shit. Niggas is always trying to create some type of historical narrative to feel better. And then you got a lot of niggas feel like they're doing something because they're like going to these strip. A lot of money goes away to like women and shit like that. Niggas either they get caught up on child support, this consumes them because they caught up fucking smashing bitches and all that. And you got niggas getting caught up spending a lot of money in strip clubs and tricking money on OnlyFans or whatever, and that's just he's got to be more disciplined. We just got to start being more disciplined. The more discipline you get, the less attention we pay to these types of women, easy women, the better it would be. That's a bad reputation that we have. We pay attention to easy women a lot, giving way too much of our energy, and this is why a lot of these black men be trying to get pushed aside. We get seen as like an easy group of men. We don't really get taken seriously. We almost got like it's almost like a way of taking our manhood. Like they don't really try to really make us look like we're serious, they make it look like, just out here like, all we care about is, chasing the next chick, chasing who's thick, who's that, oh damn, she thick, I can listen to what she's saying, she's not really saying anything, she just, like a lot of dudes will like follow certain chicks and she's not really saying anything crazy, but because she's thick, they follow up another her and blow her up and gas her head up, and now this chick's talking crazy.